Hello and welcome back to my channel. It is so good to be with you today. I am looking forward to our third letter in the acronym TUFF. We're talking about forgiveness today. That is the toughest thing to do, but stay tuned and we will be right back. Okay, so welcome back. Let's get right into it. I would like to open up with a story. And my story is that when I was a young girl, when I was a child, as long as I can remember, every morning before school, we would hold hands and we would pray together as a family. And my mom and dad would always tell us or encourage us or talk to us about any kind of unforgiveness in our heart for one another, and that we would need to talk about it together. The first letter in our acronym, by the way, talk. We would have to talk to each other if we had unforgiveness. And my parents just never let unforgiveness be in our home. They wouldn't just never let that. And I'm so glad. That's like, unforgiveness is like a cancer. It just eats away at us. And so if it hadn't been for my mom and dad teaching us how to forgive one another by their own example, but also by saying, just prompting us to forgive. If there's any ought in our heart toward one another, we would have to forgive. And so it's easier for me, I would say, as an adult because of that. And so I really do thank my mom and dad for teaching us such a valuable thing as forgiveness. Now, I've had a few things happen to me, very traumatic things happen to me as a little girl when I was 4 and then when I was 10. One person was a complete stranger, the other a family member. And so I had to learn to forgive because I carried this load and burden on me for years. I didn't say anything, especially when I was a 4-year-old girl, that something traumatic happened to me. I did not tell anybody for years and years. And I would go to counseling. By the way, I am not a counselor. I am not a professional therapist. I'm not a pastor, nor am I a doctor. And so I want to encourage you, though, if you do feel like you need to go and talk with one, man, I would encourage it. Because if it hadn't been for the professional family therapists, pastors, and counselors throughout my life, I started going to my very first counselor, I think when I was around age 19. And I still go to counseling. And to me, that's a strength. A multitude of counselors, there's wisdom. In a multitude of counselors, your plans are established. And so one of my counselors many years ago encouraged me to put a chair in front of me, and you may have heard this before yourself, but put a chair in front of me and to envision the boy, or actually probably teenager. I was 4. I was really short and he was really, really tall, but he wasn't an adult man. I did not know him. And what he did to me was very traumatic. And so put him in a chair, envision him there, and just yell at him if I have to, tell him how he affected my life, tell him what he did to me was wrong, and then take back my power by saying, after all of that, I choose to forgive you. It made it a lot easier for me to forgive by having that upbringing, but also having a counselor to encourage that. And so the other situation was with a family member, and I was 10 years old, and I had to figure out how I was going to confront this family member for what they did to me. And I had to reach out to this family member in my 20s, early 20s, because I was on a mission to forgive everybody that did wrong to me, that I didn't even realize I was holding something in. You know what I mean? And so I wrote a letter to this family member, and that letter was empowering for me too, because I let that person know that what they did has affected my life, but not anymore. I've chosen to forgive you, and I'm moving on. And we had a conversation after that, and that person asked me to forgive them. And let me read a couple scriptures, actually, if I could. Colossians 3:13. Let me go there. Colossians 3:13. And then I'm going to read Ephesians 4:32. Okay, so Colossians 3:13, I actually wouldn't mind taking it from verse 12, because I think that pulls together really well. So let me read verse 12 and then 13 of Colossians, okay? Chapter 3. So it says, "Put on, therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another, and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye." So also you go do. And then I'll just go ahead and read Ephesians 4:32, and that says, "And be kind one to another, tenderhearted, forgiving one another, even as God, for Christ's sake, has forgiven you." And there's so many scriptures on forgiveness, but I just wanted to cover those two. And I just wanted to give you my story as a child and how wonderful it was that my parents taught me how to forgive. It's not foreign to me when somebody hurts me now, and I was really, really hurt. I mean, traumatized as a kid, 4-year-old kid and a 10-year-old kid. Those were one incident things. One was a stranger, one was a family member. But I don't want to hold that unforgiveness, because that hurt will just turn into cancer, and cancer spreads quickly, and you don't want it spreading around your family and other family members. So anyway, that's just my thought, my opinion. Like I said, I'm not a counselor, but I do have some experiences that I wanted to share. Thank you again. It's so good seeing you. I am looking forward to next week. Until then, may God richly bless you, give you perfect peace and prosperity in Jesus' name. Bye.